So welcome to our other home now, our new home. Last week it was Natal. This week it's Birdhaven. Tomorrow it's Cape Town. It's a bit crazy at the moment, but this is why we need this time to keep us all grounded. So thank you all for joining me. Oh, nice to see you, Dad. Have you been pulled in by Mum? Oh, okay. Well, lovely to have you here. So yeah, welcome everyone. On this Tuesday, the 11th of October, there's a lot more background noise here, a lot more hustle and bustle. We are literally above the Birdhaven shops, and it is what it is, and that's a bit of mindfulness. I'll talk about that in a moment too. But yeah, Mandy, I see you putting on your thing. So I thought I'd share. I've become more routine with my oils, with my meditations. And so I use my frankincense. This is actually from the Ancient Oils, which is the biblical oils collection. I use my little frankincense and I put a little bit on my palate and a bit between my third eye. So I do that when I'm meditating. Sometimes I take a drop of it or put a bit under my feet to help me ground. Then we're doing the Blue Tansy challenge at the moment, which is inspired action. Blue Tansy is the oil of inspired action. So putting this under my big toe at the moment before starting, and Colin's just started yesterday. He's like the Blue Tansy challenge officially is finishing, but I think you can do it anytime, and it really has been quite profound for me. And then Tulsi is an oil that I just kind of, it's holy basil, and it's the oil of spiritual integration or spiritual, yeah, I'll have to read up more about it for you. So, but I've started dabbing that or smelling that or putting it a little bit in my bath. It's an interesting smell. I'm not sure that I like it, but it's interesting. But it's interesting that I didn't like Helichrysum, and that's probably my favorite oil. And then my laurel leaf or my breathe or something just that I can help to focus my senses on my breath. So I put something in my hand and then inhale into my hands a few times. So it just helps me then to take sort of 3 deep breaths and concentrating on my inhale and focusing then on my exhale, just to ground, because the energy is very high at the moment. In fact, you nearly got me in my pajamas. In fact, I am in my pajama pants, my shorts. It's one of those mornings and is one of those times. And hello, Joe. And it's the full moon. I don't know if any of you went out this morning, but it looks beautiful as it was sinking down. I mean, it was lovely yesterday evening as it was rising, and Mum and Dad, I don't know if it was rising over the sea at all, but this morning as it was sinking low, it was heavy and golden and full, and just reminds us of the energy that nature holds and the cycles that nature holds. And so it is a very high intensity, high energy time, as the full moon always is. It's a time of shining a spotlight on our lives, what's working and what's not. Things come up for us to kind of jar us and awaken us. And sometimes we don't really want to be awakened to it. It would be nicer just to ignore that and push it back. And I've started to realize that Colin and my interactions, where he highlights some of my imperfections and I highlight some of his, always seem to come up at full moon. But this full moon is in Aries, which is all about action and confidence and leadership. And Aries is a very inclusive energy. Aries takes everyone with her. She's a warrior who's a warrior for everyone. And I'm on a group called The Sanctuary. My friend Sandra Burmeister runs a lovely sanctuary in Melrose, which does all sorts of very interesting, quite amazing courses. Some of them feel quite way out there for me, but I love so much of what she posts and so much resonates with me. And so the themes for the 9th, 10th, and let's call it the 11th of October, because it's still so strong, the full moon, is themes of, as I said, action, confidence, and leadership. And the affirmations that she sent was, I release habits that are no longer serving me. I practice patience and trust in divine timing. I take empowered action towards my desires. I confidently speak my truth and say how I feel. That's Aries, the warrior. I release negative thought patterns holding me back. I let go of fears that are blocking my dreams and goals. Also the warrior. I release the need to rush and make impulsive decisions. I release the need to lash out at others when I am angry. I release worries and channel my energy into my desires. I find balance between what I do for myself and for others. I see challenges and hurdles as opportunities to grow and evolve. So I will, these days, when I post the recording to the website, I then put in the comments something, if I've mentioned something or if I have a link to something. So I'll try and copy those and paste that there if you want to go and look at the comments later. And I just want to pause for a moment because there's a friend of mine, Janet Otto. She's become a friend recently. I'm sure many of us heard the story, the tragic story of her husband, Alex, a year ago, being killed in a bus. He was out cycling with a lot of his cycling friends and was knocked over and dragged by a taxi. And he died a year ago. I think it was a Sunday a year ago. And it was the the day before his daughter's 20th birthday. And so Janet, I met, we have lots of mutual friends, but I didn't know her at the time, and then met her through Candice Kirschman, who's a great friend of mine. We started running together. Janet would run, Candice and I would walk, run, gasp. Candice got better and I stopped. But then I met up again with Janet at Bible study, and so I've heard a bit more about her journey. And this last Monday, which was the full moon in Aries, was her daughter's 21st birthday, and they sort of did celebrations for her daughter's 21st and Alex's 1 year passing, which I cannot, he died on their daughter's birthday. Yeah, so I mean, I cannot imagine how hard this has been for their family, and Janet is such an inspiration and a light, and she's sort of raw and honest, and yeah, so it's been, and I just want to sort of dedicate this session to her. But also because I sort of went back to, because when I went out to see the moon this morning, this poem, I often leave it just to the morning to see what strikes me when I wake up, and this poem just popped into my mind. And I thought, but I've done that fairly recently, but I just felt I wanted to do it again. And then when I went back to my mindful moments, when I'd done it before, I'd seen it in one, and then I actually had a scripture, and it was all about actually the Buddhist philosophy. So, and it's so appropriate to this whole, what I've just explained to you about Janet and her family, and actually how Janet is handling it. So I'll share that with you, but let's just start. I left my little singing bells in my room. So we'll just start by taking a few breaths and then listening to this poem, letting it land. And then I'll share a little bit about this insight that I had with my mindfulness course. So I encourage you just to take a few deep breaths, breathing in through your nose and out through your nose or your mouth. When despair grows in me and I wake in the night, at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. I'll read it again as we start our meditation, but the moon cycle and our menstrual cycles are a monthly reminder of nature as being creative, and that we are creative beings at our very essence. And that we have this inherent life force energy. Nature has it and we have it. And there's this continuous cycle in nature and in our bodies that we can't stop, we can't fight against, and one it's best to be mindful of and conscious of and to be aware of and live with, rather than to live against these cycles. Living with the seasons rather than fighting against them. You know, we've so often don't like winter, can't wait for it to warm up. Now it's summer and I can't wait for it to rain. It's so hot, can't wait for it to cool down. We resist winter, we resist summer, we resist spring, we resist so much. And in the end, this resistance only causes us more suffering. And as I said, I learned a lot about this on my 2-year MISA course. We did an 8-week MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction course based, the whole MBSR, the mindfulness-based stress reduction course of 8 weeks. The standard one is based in Buddhist principles, but it's a non-secular program that is open to anyone of any religion, any race, any creed, any color, but it is founded in some of the principles of Buddhism. And the first principle is that there is suffering. And that's the first error. And as I say, I can't imagine the suffering of Janet losing her husband, of her so tragically, so unexpectedly, of losing him on her daughter's birthday. That is incredible suffering. That's the first error. But our resistance creates even more suffering. And that's the second error. Our thing that it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened like that. It's not fair. It's too hot. It's too dry. I hate my period. This isn't good. Like this, it's our judging. And I've noticed how often I have these judging stories in my head, how often I resist things because I don't want to allow them to happen. I don't want to condone the fact that Alex died like this and like that. So then I resist it. But actually, it's got nothing to do with me. He died as he died, and my resistance of it is not going to change it. It's just going to make it harder for me to accept. Whereas in the past, I felt that if I resist them at some level, I won't have allowed them to happen. But life happens, and nature happens, and death happens. And life is hard, and life is full of suffering, and we were never promised that it wouldn't be or shouldn't be. That's a Western philosophy, that the pursuit of happiness. It's not founded in none of our teachers, our guides, our religious instruction ever teaches us that life should be easy and peaceful and joy and pleasurable. Yes, there is so much joy and pleasure to be found, but it's amongst the heartache and sadness. And it's part of the full catastrophe of living. And that's why Jon Kabat-Zinn, who sort of brought mindfulness to the West, his book, his big offering to the world is called Full Catastrophe Living, because all our lives are full catastrophes. And by me resisting and fighting against something, I'm now stabbing myself so much more with the second arrow. So we all walk a tightrope of accepting suffering and also speaking our truth and holding our truth. So I invite you now to just again settle, and we'll settle into this moment. And I'm sure Colin will be arriving home. I can hear him coming through the security gates, but it is what it is. Not resisting the noise or Catherine arriving or someone, it's part of it, the disruptions of life. Shadow arriving. When despair grows in me and I wake in the middle of the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the woodrake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. So we allow ourselves to settle for this time, finding a comfortable position on the ground or on a chair, and assuming a posture that is upright with a strong and straight spine and a soft belly, a soft front. feeling the strength and the support, stability, but also the softness and allowing. And a posture that is comfortable, but allows you to be fully awake for each moment. If your feet are on the floor, and you're seated in a chair, perhaps uncross your legs and make sure that your feet are grounded onto the earth. And bringing your awareness to the physical sensations by focusing your attention on the sensations of touch wherever your body is in contact with the surfaces beneath you. The floor, the cushion, the chair, back of the chair, the bench. And just exploring for a few moments these sensations, the physical sensations you find there in your grounding and in your connection. Just noticing, allowing them, not even commenting on them, but just feeling into them. Perhaps softness in some places, hardness in others. Perhaps sensations that you hadn't noticed before. And now bringing your attention fully to your feet, starting with perhaps your toes, feeling into your big toe and your smaller toes, noticing if you can notice the connection or touch between them. And noticing body sensations when we hear unexpected sounds. And then dropping your attention back to your feet. Noticing the connection of the ball of your foot, the balls of your feet with the earth, the heels. Noticing the deep connection, perhaps the rootedness and groundedness that we can find when we pay attention to this area. Or perhaps we feel very separate from the earth, not grounded at all. There's no right or wrong. It's just noticing what is for you. And then allowing your attention to drift up into your ankles. Perhaps noticing if you're wearing socks or not, whether there's a soft breeze or a warmth or holding around your ankle. Noticing if both sides feel the same. And then coming up into your calves, your shins, your knees. Perhaps taking in your whole calf area and feeling it from the inside out, feeling deep into the bones. Noticing how it feels in your bones. And then allowing your attention to drift out into more of the muscle, the blood flow, the tissue, the fascia, and then to the skin that holds it all in. Moving up into through your knees again, whatever position they're in. Noticing if there are sensations of discomfort or tightness, but not labeling them. Just noticing what they feel like. Instead of jumping to a label of pain, or just noticing what that actually feels like. And then going into your thighs, into your hips, where your hips connect with your pelvic bowl, and now holding your thighs in your awareness and sensing them from the inside out. This femur, the strongest bone in our body, feeling into the strength and support that it gives you, the mobility that it gives you. Into your pelvic bowl, where your femur meets your pelvis. This simple joint that we take for granted, and yet anyone who has had a hip replacement knows how vital it is for everything else. Feeding into this space, a space of connection, also of great stability and mobility. And then feeding up into your pelvic bowl, this bowl of bone that holds so much, that allows the rest of our body, the rest of our organs to be soft because of its strength and its protection. Perhaps even having a vision of wiping around this pelvic bowl, maybe with a cloth, maybe with a feather, maybe just with your attention. Just following it around the smooth, bony edges of the bowl. And then noticing in and feeding into what sits inside the bowl. Bladder, bowel, uterus, ovaries, all our organs that allow us to create, to process, to digest. And perhaps some of us have these organs intact, and perhaps some we've had them removed or altered or cut. And just for a moment, pausing and honoring this and feeling into the space. For some, they're the scars of childbirth. Others, there's the scars of laparoscopies or investigations, of procedures. Others, they're the scars and wounds of a difficult relationship. And when we find the areas that hold, that are stuck, that are difficult, just breathing into them, not trying to change, not trying to fix, just allowing with breath. And then drifting up your attention, up your spine, to your rib cage, noticing how these ribs surround the other soft structures of your lungs and your heart space, your heart, the huge arteries and veins that pump in and out of your heart. A life-giving force that lies beneath these fragile ribs. Our breath, our God-given breath, allows us to be here every minute. Noticing Deep inside, if you can tap into the sensations of your lungs, the sensation of your heart, dropping beneath the strength and the support of the skeleton. Also, perhaps offering breath into areas that are tender, areas that feel more difficult to access, areas that feel a bit stuck. And then allowing your attention just to drift down through the tops of your shoulders, down your arms, upper arms, elbows, forearms, into your palms, fingers, hands, taking in the whole of your arms, holding them in your awareness, and perhaps also sensing them from the inside out, from the bony support and strength and mobility. Deep inside, pushing out to the surface, noticing in between the muscles, the blood flow, the fascia, the lymph drainage, and then the skin that holds it all in. Perhaps noticing sensations on the surface of the skin of tingling, of warmth, coolness, perhaps a breeze, or the sensations of your clothes resting on your skin. And then drifting up, back through your arms, up to your shoulders, your neck, your throat, your skull, your face, your eyes, your nose, your cheeks, your tongue, your ears, your forehead, your hairline. And holding this whole neck and head area in your awareness. Just gently scanning through in your own time, paying curious attention to how each part feels. Again, the balance of strength and support and softness. Perhaps we can sense again from the inside out, but now even below the bony skull, deep inside. How does it feel inside our skull? And then drifting to our skull, noticing where it starts and stops. It's not completely solid. It's held together by plates. And there are orifices, there are openings where the light gets in. It's noticing into these spaces of eyes and nose and mouth, moving into throat and leading on to the rest of our body. And then just allowing your awareness to expand, the area of your attention to expand and to hold in your whole body in your awareness. This whole body that we've just explored so in-depthly. When despair grows in me and I wake in the middle of the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world, and I'm free. And in this moment of freedom and grace, we offer it to ourselves, we offer it to our loved ones, we offer it to those going through a difficult time, those we hold dear to our hearts. Those who we would want to just wash away the pain. We'd want to make it better. But instead we choose to just be with them. Not to try and wipe it away, not to try and make it better, not to try and pretend it didn't happen, but just to be there. Offering up 3 deep breaths for ourselves and for them. Slowly, and when you're ready, just opening your eyes, taking in the colors, the light, the sounds around you, the faces on the screen, the names on the screen. I thank you all for joining me today. Wish you a blessed day. And hope to see you next week. And same time, same place. I'm in Cape Town between now and then. If anyone is in Cape Town or knows anyone in Cape Town, I'm going to be hosting a oils workshop, a 101 for those who don't have oils, or 2 101s, and then 2 workshops for those who do have oils. And now I'd like a deeper dive. So I hope you'll come and join me or send along friends, and I'll be doing some in Joburg soon. In fact, today I've got some of my mindful health and wellness team coming here to our apartment, and we're going through some of the exciting things that have just recently arrived in doTERRA South Africa and doTERRA US, and just being together. So I look forward to seeing people who can make it, and I look forward to seeing you next week. You're welcome to unmute if you'd like to. Nice to see you, Jean-Marie.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thanks a lot. It was very good.
Thank you, Sophia. Lovely to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks so much, Nix.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Nikki. It's beautiful.
Stay on there. Share anything. Yeah, the wells of joy and pain are the same wells. So,
Okay.
thank you, Heidi. Nice to see you.
And you.
Thanks, Mum and Dad.
Have a good day, Nikki.
Thanks, Trisha. Thanks, Heather. Love to you all.
The manga was lovely, Nikki, last night.
Oh, good. Did you enjoy it? Yes.
Loved
I
it.
sent her some screenshots of our shared chat, and she was so touched. She said it was lovely to hear that it landed well, it was received well. So that's lovely. Thank you.
It was just so gentle and beautiful, peaceful.
I've got an appointment for the 30th.
What's that?
I've got an appointment for the 30th. I couldn't get
With
one
Ella.
for her.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, so Ellen and I both have done, well, Ellen's done her advanced course. I've just done her basic one, but I've done a lot of work with her over the years. And it's really, I've done individual stuff. And even Colin, during lockdown, he used to have once a week Zoom sessions with her. And so she'd be Zooming into our room at like 6:30 on a Thursday morning. But it was such a wonderful way to start the day.
Special.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
Love to you
I
all.
was very, very spoilt with doing her first course and the advanced, the year-long course. And but when lockdown came, when you've actually experienced the energy of being in a room with the fellow breathers and all on the same page, and then sort of sit by yourself in your home and look at a screen. For me, it was a very poor relation to what I was spoiled by for the 2 years that I was with her. So yeah, but
Well,
she's
the good thing is, and in
amazing,
fact,
amazing.
That's just reminded me, they asked me last week to speak to St. John's, and I left a message for Jane Lane, but I must actually phone her then today because she hasn't got back to me about, because they want to do that breathing in the hall of St. John's again, and that was so lovely to do at the end of the year. They did a big breathwork session in the hall, so that's just
I assisted at one of them. It was actually amazing to not breathe but be in the presence of the breathers. It was quite profound. Yeah, it was magic. Cool. Thanks, Nikki. I'll see you later.
Thank you. See you later.
Everyone.
Come.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.